Happy Wednesday, guys. It's WWT Live here on Women's Wrestling Talk, and there's a lot to get into. I mean, we're yeeting all over the place. Then there's a Mr. McMahon documentary to get into. And, of course, tonight's Grand Slam. All that and more here on WWT Live.
I am your forever ROH Women's Champion, your fallen goddess, the Alpha, the Minion, Overlord, the ROH Gatekeeper. But most of all, I am the best in the world, Athena, and you're watching Women's Wrestling Talk.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
WWT and going forward, the godfather of WWT and going forward, the Professor Gerard Bonner, #NXT bonnerfide.
Well, there's an intro, and I had no clue. Happy Wednesday. It's that kind of day, guys. I hope you guys are doing fantastic as we are part of WWT Live with Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. As you heard, they call me the Professor, GB, Gerard, whatever you feel like calling me. I'm not quite the yeet master, but I will yeet for today for understandable reasons. It's going to be that kind of day for a lot of really cool reasons. We'll make sure we tell you why, but it's a Wednesday. That usually means it's all elite. If you're saying all elite, then that only means one person. Courtney is in the building. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Yes, it is Grand Slam in New York. It's so exciting, but there's a lot of stuff that's been happening within the last 48 hours.
There are, and we will certainly get into all of that in a little bit. Of course, it's not a Wednesday without our elected official. The councilman's in the building. Councilman, how are you?
It's been a long night and morning, y'all. I got angry clients after that debacle of a press conference and just hitting us with blinds. Listen, your councilman has been through it for the last 12 hours, but I'm so glad to be here. But they don't pay us yet, so I didn't show the drink, but just y'all know what it is.
Of Strattonville with his Parisiac constituents.
Oh boy, it's gonna be it's gonna be that kind of day. And then there's a mystery, and whenever there's a mystery, it excites me because I know something really, really good is about to happen. And, you know, we've had the wholesome Courtney with her all elite love. And then the councilman comes in, spirits in hand. I don't know what's about to happen, but she's the queen of all things SmackDown and an occasional Raw watch along. Wrestling with Honey is here.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Happy Wednesday.
Listen, we did not plan this. We
did not. And I was just going to say, Councilman, we're on the same wavelength today. I had to stop my Netflix watching and my wine and my other things that I might have grabbed to watch. But, you know, I'm here.
Oh,
Happy Wednesday, all.
Oh, boy. Well.
Honey Monet is back.
Listen, I thought you were going a different direction, but this also is on brand, and it makes total sense. Holy cow. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, no, do not adjust your screens. It is not Rhea Ripley. Mommy's home.
Ah, nice.
Hilarious. Wow. Hey, guys.
TK is back in the building. Lady. How are you, boss lady?
Man, I'm tired. I'm tired.
I mean, you should be. You
be made use of, or you know what I'm saying? Used. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. The parents are in the house.
This is from staying on top with Trick Williams.
Wow.
Well, Councilman, I didn't want to go there, but
ripping the Band-Aid.
Wow.
Does anybody follow TK on Instagram?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
She apparently felt like getting ready for the CW premiere next week. And if you don't know what I'm saying, just scroll through her Instagram. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But welcome back. You've been traveling all over the world. It's good to see you back.
Shout out to Belize. It was a really great experience. Shout out to the company that took me, that I didn't have to flip the bill. So yeah, it was a great. So it's a great time to be alive, I suppose.
Indeed, it is, and the chat is going crazy already.
No Diddy, no McMahon, we're good.
Oh, whoa.
Like we said, it's been a long 48 hours.
Wow.
Okay. Oh yeah.
No Diddy and no McMahon.
All right now.
Wow. You don't want to be those two people. Come on now.
We're 6 minutes in, folks. We're 6 minutes in, and this is wow. Well, shouts to everybody in the chat. Eric, good to see you. Jeffrey, good to see you. Special little nobodies, always a pleasure. Boza is in the house. Let's see. Cousin Ron is here. Dion, I believe, is your name, kind sir. It's great to have you with us. It was cool having you on screen with us as well. Good gracious. This is one of those days. Yes. It is Honey's other half. Now, as Honey Monet, I don't know what role he will play, but we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. We will be hearing from Honey Monet at some point during the show, but in this very, very full show, we must kick things off with the big news from Monday Night Raw. As Monday Night Raw closed, we crowned a brand new Intercontinental Champion after 6 failed attempts at a singles title. Jey Uso is your hashtag and new Intercontinental Champion, defeating Braun Breaker. Let's just kind of go around and get our feelings. What did you think of Jey Uso's championship victory? Honey, let's start with you. What were your thoughts on this? We know you love the Yeet Master.
I do love the Yeet Master, and you know what? This was the one time where I voted the Yeet Master would lose, and that's the last time I will ever vote for anything like that. What a moment. What a shocker. I damn near teared. It was beautiful. It was so great to see after 14 years as a tag team competitor, not sure if he was even capable of being a single star. And here he is, main event Jey Uso. He has finally arrived as a singles champion, and I'm so proud. I'll never vote against him again, ever.
TK, what did you think about the championship victory for Jey Uso?
I mean, for all things Samoan Dynasty that I've been talking about for the last 7+ years, I feel like WWE is finally listening to me. And I feel like there are going to be more things to come as far as my Samoan Dynasty family. And I am extremely happy. I love the fact that Roman took some of my ideas and separated the twins and created kind of different entities and a Marvel universe as such. So I am extremely excited. I cannot wait for the other plans. I kind of almost feel like Women's Wrestling Talk and Women's Wrestling Weekly, that's what we were called before. We were kind of like almost like the Simpsons, where we said certain things back in the day and then now it's actually like happening. So I feel like this is what's happening, and I don't want any money from it. All I really do want is just access, like just tickets.
I was gonna say boss lady with a fantastic analogy, and I was gonna say that was probably her nicest way of saying cut the check, Paul or Nick or whoever. But just tickets.
And a flight would be, since I've been getting flights everywhere else, a flight would be great too. That would, I feel like I've elevated now.
I mean, might as well throw in the stay as well. Let's come on now.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I've been getting flued out to a few places. So I mean, that would probably be.
Wait, does this mean we're getting the WWT jet?
Look, You know, the way I had a few conversations with some people from the team and also outside in the industry. And I feel like for my day ones who've been watching women's wrestling talk, you guys are going to see some really great things happening. And I know I say that often, but some stuff is like happening in the back end. Like you're starting to see stuff, you know, in the Google universe and stuff like that. So you're all on the right team. That's what I say.
Don't we know it?
Woo!
Councilman, let me pose a question to you. I believe it was back at Backlash where everybody started talking about the Jey Uso entrance, and you know, it had all the lights and it was all the things, and there were people who felt like back then Jey Uso should have been crowned Intercontinental Champion. Do you feel like the timing for this was right with it happening this past Monday, or should it have happened earlier?
No, I think everything hit to perfection. I think one, it was great to have it on Raw because now we know, like, hey, it makes you want to tune into Raw, not like this is going to happen at a PLE. Now it's you have to tune into Monday Night Raw because you never know when the championship match is going to be on the line. You never know when the belt is going to go over. So I think everything lined up perfectly. And it also, even to that tier, gets you now in the feeling of you don't know how long people are going to be champs. You don't know how long reigns are going to be anymore. So now it's got you back in your seats. It's like, no, I got to check it out because this might change hands. I can't wait till the end of the month. So I just think it was perfect timing.
Remember having to find out results on a newspaper? Like find like on the newspaper and stuff? Like spoilers, you kids don't want to. Y'all don't know today. But go ahead.
Or you can't be like Professor who avoids our chats. Like he has to be in the chat because everything is happening so quickly. So I'm sorry, Professor. You and little Professor are gonna have like some type of dialogue now because everything changes so quickly.
Paul Levesque has done a great job of surprising me this year, and I'm very pleased. Since November.
I was just like honey. I was definitely going up against Jey Uso. I thought he was gonna get dog walked by Braun Breaker, but I have never been so glad to be so wrong. And now we got the new, as I coined him, Yeetinental champion, Jey Uso.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Courtney, your feelings. Do you think the timing was right for this, or should this have happened earlier?
The timing felt perfect. And I was actually one of those people that did pick Braun Breaker because I was very nervous on what Jey was going to do. But he's the new Intercontinental Champion. I could not be happy for him. He has been wanting to do this for so long. And the fans, right before the 3 count, the fans were really getting into that match. They were getting into it. And the minute he won, everybody was on their seat. Joe Tessitore was on his feet getting excited. I think somebody said Rhea Ripley tried to get in there because I know she was eating too in the crowd, but it was just a wonderful experience. And I'm so excited to see how his reign is going to be and who he is going to face next.
You know, I think this was a great reminder that feel-good moments still matter in pro wrestling. And to me, I think there could be, by the time we get to the end of the year, if we're looking at the biggest moments of the year, there could be an argument that the Jey Uso title win could be as important as the Cody Rhodes title win, given the amount of time that people have had to wait and believe for these kinds of things to happen. There's an interesting discussion to be had there, and we'll give it some time. But needless to say, it's a very, very big deal. Congratulations to Jey Uso, the new Intercontinental Champion. This happens to be a very, very funny comment. If I was Gunther, I would have asked to lose his title on day 667 instead of day 666.
Seriously.
I'm with you there, sir.
Yeah.
I would have said, let me keep it until Raw. Because that's I just can't.
Also too, USA, you gotta get it together. I don't appreciate y'all cutting off our Yeet moment so quickly to go show us the anonymous. Ain't nobody. You could have held that for another 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense considering this is the last week for all three brands on USA. So
and shout out to Joe Tessitore because he called that match greatly and then was able to, that was like his first time actually witnessing a title change on commentary. So he pulled that off real nicely.
Yeah, job well done. Job well done. So congratulations again to the new Intercontinental Champion, Jey Uso. So as we're talking about, this being the last week for all three brands being on the USA Network, that's because last night closed the chapter of NXT on USA, and this was the parting shot last night. The press conference involving Julia and Roxanne Perez, when someone would start speaking, it seemed like in Japanese, it threw everybody off. They thought perhaps somebody was one of the news reporters was speaking out of turn, only to discover the official on-screen debut of Stephanie Vacour, who says, whoever wins this match, you've got me to deal with. Courtney, let me start with you. What were your thoughts on this moment and this being how Stephanie Vacour arrives in NXT?
That gave me chills because after witnessing that whole press conference, and especially because Byron thought somebody was talking to the reporters, it was Stephanie right over there and the crowd was going crazy. I'm like, what's going on? And Stephanie's face pops up and everybody was in shock. Julia, Roxanne, like their faces were kind of like puzzled, like what's going on here? And seeing Stephanie's face. And Vic Joseph was so fired up after Stephanie made that announcement. And it just made you really get excited ahead of their match next week and also moving to the CW. And that just gave me absolute chills just seeing that entire setup.
Councilman, your thoughts on this as the go home shot last night as we go into NXT on CW next week?
This image gives me a headache. Very, very bad headache. Slight PTSD, even though it's just been 12 hours. To not jump into my client's feelings as of yet, firstly, let's just say just how epic this is. Women's wrestling, if you need to know where the hottest is happening right now, it's NXT, because it's not on Raw and it's not on SmackDown. No offense to them, it's right here. Let's also this image of the fact of everyone's press conference was the same, but this one happened in the ring, happened outside, which lets me further know next week this is the main event. Trick and Ethan, is second to last. I think this is going to be the main event to close out NXT.
Yeah,
I'm very confident in my client, but we got some work ahead of us. All right, Julia was one thing, you know what I'm saying, and trying to not let Julia get into my client's head has been very difficult. Now you just got this mythical unicorn that want to pop up on the screen and be like, yo, whoever wins out of you, I got next to stomp you out. Like, when don't we go get a break? Like, it's almost the holidays. I'm sorry.
A break. This is the NXT Women's Champion. She's holding on to this title and she's been holding it down for quite some time. I mean, you've seen it, you witnessed it. This is your client, sir. Like, of course she's got to put in that work. There are no breaks when you're the champion. And we knew this was going to come. We knew this was going to happen. But you know what, Councilman? I have faith in your client. I really do.
I have faith in my client because we have a goal. We have a goal to get to, and we so close, okay? Look, we are realistic Randys over here. All right, we know she's not gonna beat Shayna's days. She's not gonna beat Asuka's days, and she's not gonna get to Mandy Rose. But she is only 60 days away from toppling Charlotte Flair as the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion. That would put her in the top 4. We were planning to beat that, maybe go ahead and hand it down at the Survivor Series of NXT, and then we break, and then come back and we take the Royal Rumble to go on to the showcase of the Immortals. Now,
I will say this. I not to interrupt or anything, but aside from the Jordan Grace moment, this is definitely Roxanne's biggest moment here for me personally, I think. And for her, you know, her being such a fan of wrestling that she's been, being the prodigy and looking up to women like Julia and watching other promotions as well, having the respect of, you know, for Julia and Stephanie Vacour as well, to be able to be in this moment has got to be completely surreal from her behind closed doors. Like, I'm sure she went to her hotel room, wherever she was at, and was just like, you know, that girl, that meme in that video, like, like, holy crap, this is awesome. This is a big moment for her. So shout outs to Roxanne for holding down the NXT title and to be able to stand with the best of them internationally. You know what I mean? So, and we've been talking about Julia and Stephanie Vacour all summer, you know, from when they left their promotions and they came to WWE and signing the contracts and everything like that. HBK, Shawn Michaels, you keep cooking. Just fan it a little bit. My God, just it's hot. It's a hot plate.
It is, and we appreciate the AJ light comments. You're right. She is the light that warms AJ's life. So I appreciate y'all putting that. She's gonna really enjoy that y'all said that. Thank you so much. I will let my client know that.
So, honey, let me ask this question to you. After looking at this shot and experiencing this moment, does Roxanne beat Julia next week, or are we on our way to the famed rematch between Julia and Stephanie Vacour for the NXT Women's title?
To be able to say that, like, that's a mouthful in a question, Professor.
It is.
We were just in Japan and in Mexico and you know, lucha, like, to be able to have that rematch in NXT, I think that would be amazing and a huge deal. But Roxy has something, there's just something about her relentlessness that I respect and admire, her being the prodigy and being able to hold down, you know, this division in NXT. But I believe she has the potential to win. I don't know if she will definitively win, because besides these two women, Julia and Stephanie Vacour, she has another problem that awaits her that still hasn't resurfaced on NXT soil yet, and that is Cora Jade. So if she does lose, I believe it could possibly be because of Cora Jade, and then you have a winner in Julia. Stephanie got next, Stephanie versus Julia, and you're gonna have a nasty cat fight between Cora Jade and Roxanne, because that's still something that we have yet to see due to Cora Jade being injured. But if that's the case, you might as well keep the belt on Roxanne, because that way Cora Jade has something to fight for, because that's a title she never lost.
TK,
I mean, it could go either way.
So I've been watching TikTok, and I forgot this guy's name, but he does historical facts and stuff. And here's the thing, and you guys watch it and you know who I'm talking about. You understand why I'm going to say this. So NXT has a problem, and here's the problem. I feel like Roxanne still has some more to do. That's one. However, Julia and Stephanie are hot commodities worldwide. Right. So it's like, if Julia loses, then what? Are you going to do like a best of 3, which is possible, especially going into the holidays? But will that dim Julia's light? Because how she came in, remember, there were rumblings of Julia being signed to WWE for what? Maybe a month. Correct me if I'm wrong. Both of you in the chat. It's
been for months they've been talking about
it. Right. They've been hinting at it. Right. And they don't necessarily do that. They did that for Jade. Actually, I'm lying. They did do that for Jade. All of a sudden, because I remember when it happened, we interviewed Jade on a music set.
It was wild when she debuted.
AEW. And then I think 2 weeks later, she was at WWE. Yeah. Right. So they didn't even hint at it. We just knew that her contract was being up, et cetera, et cetera. So they've been hinting, or they've been dropping the things on social media about Julia for a while. So would her loss to Roxanne affect the whole storyline? Because what I'm seeing, and correct me, you guys, if you don't think it's correct, WWE is taking more of the Marvel cinematic approach, meaning that I feel like in the war room where all the writers are, every person is treated as a character, and there's a story arc, as far as barring there's no injuries, a story arc of where everybody should be landing. And that's kind of the problem with Julia. If she loses, then what? So
you think that WWE is going in the route of, like, right now they're on the very first Avengers, and by the end of it, it's going to look like Infinity War. Everybody's going to have their own story, their own rivalry, their own battle.
Look at the Bloodline. That was it. That was it.
Especially with Jey winning the Intercontinental title now, it's going to pick up. Business
and
just
Triple H hinted at it. If you remember, there was one, I can't remember what pay-per-view it was. I can't remember. I think it was maybe the end of last year or maybe the beginning of this year. No, it was before that. I think it was last year, either around WrestleMania time. He hinted at, this is not the end of it. Mm-hmm. And then if you go and watch Roman Reigns' documentary, he kind of essentially said there's a whole blueprint and how, main event Jey came about, all this other stuff. So I feel like they either took the idea that Roman took from WWT and it's like, we're going to apply this to everybody, or you like that?
Or she's on it today.
I'm here for it. Let's go. Let them know.
She got her 8 hours last night.
That part, I actually didn't. Maybe that's why the reason. But and then apply that to everybody, which you can. Now, not everybody's gonna be a star, but in this particular case, back to your question. Sorry for the rant, Professor. There's that problem. That what happens, because the question now is, so if Julia loses, then what? Can we do a best of 3, which is possible, but it's how you frame it. And I think that might be the best way, because I don't think Roxanne's unless Roxanne's going to the main roster.
It's got to be personal too. It's got to be personal.
Point. Yeah, to TK's point though, just real quick, like, we also haven't seen the other length of what Roxanne does as a heel. Mm-hmm. So we've never seen her cheat. We've never seen her like quick pin to win. We've never seen none of that yet. And so if that does occur at this match, then you start to see that storytelling, kind of like how Roman was with, you always had the bloodline involved to win. At some points, it started off, Roman was just toppling everybody. No help, no nothing. Then it became that. So we haven't seen that from her yet. So we still have, I think, that chapter, to TK's point, to see the Mad Queen era of Roxanne.
Oh, I like that. Yes. Very Game of Thrones. Very Game of Thrones.
I will say that so to what you were saying, TK, in terms of the quote unquote problem that NXT has, I used to feel that way. And matter of fact, I felt that way when we were talking initially about the first meeting between Roxanne and Jordynne Grace, and in terms of what that would mean for the TNA partnership. And what I was reminded of is that in that particular case, the TNA partnership was bigger than that moment. And we ended up getting very big moments after that, particularly the Joe Hendry situation, and how he's blown up. And even to the point where next week we'll get, the kind of Rascals implosion street fight, and even the crazy promo they did last night. So I say that to say that this CW premiere next week is not the end all be all. So whatever happens, one way or the other, nobody is buried because it's the season premiere. So with it being the premiere, there's a lot more to come. You don't wrap up your whole season in episode 1. So I think there's all kinds of opportunity. And what I do think, which will segue into what we're going to talk about next, is the arrival of Julia, the presence there of Stephanie Vicor, just legitimized the NXT championship back to the black and gold era, where you had you know, the Asukas of the world and the Shayna Baszlers and the Ember Moons and the Rhea Ripleys, you know, and you had these champions that, you know, you didn't think developmental. And so I think they have worked to shed off the NXT 2.0 phase to get us back to, holy cow, the best women's wrestling is happening in NXT. And now you've got these world-traveled world champions coming to NXT to fight for the NXT championship. So this is going to get very, very interesting. And I think it's going to also cause those women who are in the performance center right now to have to step up their game. Which is kind of, I think, why the North American Championship becomes even more important, because that can ultimately be the title for those women who have just been in the Performance Center for a year or two, who are really getting their wings under them, because Roxanne seems to be so far ahead of everybody that you don't want to have a scenario where when Roxanne walks in the ring, it kind of doesn't matter who's across from her. So now, since she's so good, you have to bring this world-class level talent in. Now think about the talent that now can only compete for the NXT championship. And then those who are competing for the North American championship. We've now established real levels and layers to this. And that is a massive win. So since this is the go-home shot.
This is why. And this is why you got this right here, my guy. That's why you got this right here. I hope they clip what you just said, buddy. That's why this is here.
NXT bonnerfide hashtag.
Oh my god!
Hey, Professor.
You are very, very kind. So with that said, this was the go-home shot for the NXT on the USA era. We have to go back to September 18th, 2019 for NXT's premiere on USA. People have forgotten that prior to this, they were rocking on the WWE network exclusively. And here's the funny part. Fun fact, they were initially supposed to start their run on USA in October of 2019, but they decided to jump the gun. And part of the reason they were jumping the gun was October 2019, Courtney will love this, was when AEW Dynamite was scheduled to premiere. And so they said, we're going to jump the gun, put NXT on 2 weeks early to get people used to it, because at that point, NXT and Dynamite were going head to head. So it's been 5 years for NXT on USA. I want to find out from you guys, what were some of your favorite moments of NXT on USA? And that's for you guys in the chat as well. Some of your favorite moments from NXT on USA. So I'll help us in terms of timelines. We're talking basically October 2019 through September 2024, which encompassed still parts of the Black and Gold era. It encompassed the pandemic era. It brought us into NXT 2.0, and then this resurgence that we've seen of Black and Gold.
Bianca.
The rise of Bianca. That's actually quite fair in that time frame. She got her first women's title shot at NXT TakeOver Portland, like 2020, top of 2020 against Rhea Ripley. That's really cool. And that was, how can I say this safely? That was the least refined version of Bianca that we've seen.
Oh yeah.
And it was very edgy. It was very, very edgy.
Yeah. No, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
but she also didn't win the title, which I'm kind of upset about. So I hope they run that back. I guess on the CW eventually. I mean, obviously she's doing something else now, but I feel like before her career wraps up, which we have plenty of time, she needs to run it back and get that NXT title, just for me personally. It's for her to add that to her resume. But I think that that was really great. 2019. Wait.
2019, if I remember correctly, that War Games year wasn't pretty bad either. You had the women's.
That was the first War Games for NXT. Yeah, the women's War Games.
Women's War Games with Rhea, Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox. I forgot who else. Who else was? Oh, it was
Dakota Kai, and she made that turn.
Yes, that was that shocking return. That was actually one of my favorite moments. What about when Adam Cole owned Karrion Kross?
Oh, yes.
That was probably one of the hardest promos I've ever seen. I was like, wow, there's like nothing this poor guy, this big dude, there's nothing this poor guy could say back, because everything he said was just anything Undisputed Era, definitely. I mean, they were there since like even when they had the WWE Network, but or anything Ciampa, Psycho Killer Ciampa, Reigns were great. I'm trying to think who else. Finn Balor came back to NXT that year as well.
He did. Here's a fun reminder of who were champions at the start of the USA era.
Whoa, what a picture. The Queen of Spades, man. The Queen of Spades.
Oh yeah, Shayna had a really great so here's a question, not to spin off the question. I feel like we have other people to answer your original question. Do we like Shayna now or Shayna NXT Shayna?
NXT Queen of Spades all day.
NXT all day.
So how do we implement NXT Shayna into the main roster? Because I feel like that's what she's missing.
She gone.
You know what? That's the succinct way to answer that. I don't know. It feels like they captured lightning in a bottle, and they've actually tried to do this already. That's one of the reasons. Remember how it started when they brought her up. Remember she took and this was actually because she came up shortly after they debuted, because I remember the pandemic WrestleMania, which was 2020. It was her and Becky Lynch. And if you remember that whole run, the lead up to it, remember she bit out a chunk of Becky's back?
Yes.
And they had her like a cannibal. She ran through everybody during the Elimination Chamber that year to get the title shot. Like, that was the closest we ever got to NXT Shayna. The next attempt was when they put her against Ronda Rousey and retired Ronda Rousey. And they tried to do it, but it just hasn't hit. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Didn't we also have Adam Cole and Pat McAfee? Didn't Pat McAfee have a match?
That did happen during the USA era. Absolutely. It sure did. Courtney, did you have any memories of NXT on USA?
I wasn't heavily onto NXT, but there was a few, pretty much anything that has like Johnny wrestling, because he was just so fun to watch. That whole rivalry with him and Ciampa, and of course Johnny teaming up with Kansas. It's always nice to see them together. And I didn't realize they were married in real life until lightning struck, and I was like, "Oh, they're married." That makes sense because of their chemistry.
Velveteen Dream as North American champion, though. That's hitting me hard.
Yeah.
That's hitting me real hard. I loved anything Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, that was a good era. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Bonner and we worked with them in Jamaica. So
yes, that's right.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
We have. Let's see. This was also, there was you guys probably remember the cinematic match that happened between Gargano and Ciampa.
Oh yeah,
that was a crazy one. A crazy one. Let's see. We had some really good ones here in the chat. Let's see. Keith Lee becoming a double champion, and that pounce that Keith Lee did on Adam Cole.
Oh, when he flung him into the audience. Holy God.
It was great. Rhea Ripley winning her championship. Absolutely. Io Shirai's reign. No doubt about that. That was a really, really good time. You guys remember the fight pit that they used to have in NXT? That was pretty fire. Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. Yeah, that was definitely a thing. Let's see. Bianca. I used to say Bianca was part of the final test for the eventual NXT Women's Champions, for sure. The rise of Pat McAfee, War Games, that was special. And as a matter of fact, that was right also when we got my favorite Survivor Series, the 2019 Survivor Series, which was NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown.
Oh my God.
And remember, they did the War Games the night before.
Yes.
And then they came in and just put it was oof.
Keith
Gosh,
Lee
so
and Braun Strowman, I think, were in the ring face to face. It was like
no,
a Bianca Jade Cargill moment.
It was Keith Lee and Roman
and
Reigns.
Roman. They were in a match and he beat him.
Yes.
That's right.
It was
Oh my
Keith
God.
and Roman.
Keith was about to be next up. I don't care what anybody says.
Keith was about to be next. He absolutely was. Let's see. Who else? Orlando. Welcome aboard. Good to have you here. Let's see.
Ooh.
Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae. That's a good one. Oh yes, Velveteen versus Ricochet. Specifically when Velveteen, when Ricochet jumped over the top rope and nailed the landing on that
while he was standing in the aisle talking smack.
Dijak and Keith Lee. That was
which one? All of them?
Yeah, which one?
All of them. It was all during that era for sure. Damian Priest and Finn.
Huh?
Wait,
oddly enough.
Did that happen?
No, wait a minute. That was Finn Balor and Adam Cole.
Yeah, I think Orlando might be thinking about Bad Blood next week. Let's see, Andrade and Gargano. That was good. I'm trying to remember if that was on USA or right before. I can't remember, but those were good times for sure. So definitely good times with the NXT on USA era. The new era, of course, continues next week as NXT debuts on the CW. All right, this is probably a good time to take a quick break because we're going to switch things up a bit. And we'll tell you what that means when we come back.
Hey, yo, you. Yeah, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen not knowing what you want to do like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to www talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
This episode of Women's Wrestling Talk has been brought to you by All Caribbean Wrestling. Catch the wave. Go to allcaribbeanwrestling.com to check out all the latest pay-per-views or go on the YouTube page at All Caribbean Wrestling. Also, go and check out their socials on Instagram at All Caribbean Wrestling and on X at All Caribbean WR1.
And shout out to our friends over at All Caribbean Wrestling. The next big show is happening just a couple of weeks from this Saturday, October the 19th. It's called Fight for Paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. All of these amazing people that you see on the screen are going to be there. I mean, from Mark Henry, who is a WWE Hall of Famer, to Teddy Long, another Hall of Famer. The APA.
Teddy Long is going to have a major announcement as well.
Oh, well, breaking news. How about that? Major announcement coming from Teddy Long. It could involve a tag team match. Who knows? That's kind of how he rolls. The APA,
I think I might know.
Well, the APA will be there. There will be numerous title matches and all sorts of great moments. So you want to make sure you are at Fight for Paradise in Nassau, Bahamas, October the 19th. And tickets are available. Head to allcaribbeanwrestling.com for more information.
Somebody
all right.
one-on-one with the Undertaker player. That's it.
Well, hey. Hey, it's not like we haven't heard that happen before, so I'll be on my P's and Q's. That's for sure. I'll tell you who's not going one-on-one with the Undertaker anytime soon, and that is Mercedes Moné, who apparently is saying not only won't she go one-on-one with the Undertaker, but she may not go one-on-one with the WWE because, according to her, AEW is treating her so well that she may never go back to the WWE. She said an awful lot in a recent interview. And this direct quote is, quote, after the way that AEW has been treating me, I don't think I'll go back to WWE. I feel like I have the best relationship with AEW right now, and it's legit. I'm living my dreams, and it's the best place I've ever been mentally and physically. To be able to have new dreams after being in the industry for 14 years, it's the best feeling in the world. So AEW is my home right now. It feels like every week we get a new quote from Mercedes Moné. What do you make of this? Do you feel like this is a good move? Remember, it was just a couple of months ago that she was saying that, hey, at some point, I'll be back in the WWE. Her tune has changed. Which is the real Mercedes Moné?
I mean, you have to be politically correct. Like Tony Khan, AEW, she's making a ridiculous amount of money. They are paying her to be there, right? So why would you bite the hand that feeds you by saying, oh, eventually I'm going to be there? That could be in the back of your mind. And I feel like, oh God, I feel like I'm like 100 years old by saying this, but I feel like in this era, we're saying way too much information. And I feel like Shannon Sharp now. What my mom used to say is you don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. So she might feel like she eventually will go to the WWE, but she doesn't need to say that because at the end of the day, her checks are being signed by AEW. So why would you alienate or piss off or say something about the company who's giving you the big check that you want? At the moment, they're giving her everything that she wants. How many jobs have we been at where the job sounded great? We did the interview, we got there, and then it was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to play. So silently, you go on LinkedIn, you go and apply for another job, you find the job, and then you leave the job. Like, I don't understand. It's, maybe she said that and somebody pulled her aside. Maybe her agent told her, like, this is not the play. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. We have to see when her contract is over, then we're going to see what really happens.
So, TK, I do want to ask, since you made a reference to Shannon Sharp, you haven't been on Instagram Live lately, have you? Okay, just making sure. All right, Councilman.
No Diddy parties for me. No Diddy parties for me.
2 references, Lord. Well, I don't. Allegedly. Right. Yeah. So, Councilman, what are your thoughts on these comments from Mercedes Moné?
Every time Mercedes Moné opens her mouth, I just get, I don't know why, maybe it's just me, but I get the whiffs of just WCW. And I feel like history is going to repeat itself. Like right now, enjoy it for all you got. But soon enough, I think we're going to see Triple H giving us that I've now bought my competitor. And we see the merging of AEW with WWE because all the signs are there, like throwing out a lot of money. The Elite is basically the NWO and they get whatever they want. And I don't know. Every time I see all this happening and then she talks, I'm like, eventually we're going to hear like AEW shutting down. Because of money. Because you're dealing with hand-me-down Monet.
Oh, wow. Courtney, I know how, again, you're kind of the AEW aficionado. Your thoughts on these comments here from Mercedes Moné?
Whoever is on their PR team and her agent, they need to pull her aside and she needs to take 30 steps backwards or not say nothing. Because anytime I hear an interview and I'm trying to be patient with her and she says something and I'm just like, you should have never said that at all. You're in AEW. You're getting paid this much money. You're getting creative control. Mm-hmm. Like you have creative control for you to say that, for not to you to say that. Because there are times it's just like, I really need to pull you aside and say, first off, why would you say something to the company that signed you in the first place? You already have 2 belts. You're already making appearances left and right. So that's something I would probably say too, because that is something that she's gonna have to learn, where there's some things you can say and also you can't say, and also picking up that self-awareness where in the back of your mind you don't want to say something that you're gonna have regrets on.
Let's go here because I think this is interesting. Eddie says, why should she say nothing? She was asked a question and answered accordingly. Let me answer that. No. Somebody else answer that.
There's 3 ways you can answer this, and I just figured out the one you're about to do, and I understand why you want to do that one. You got 2 more though of how this could be handled.
Someone feel free to answer this question.
Okay, so I'll give you some behind the scenes as a journalist, host, stuff like that. When I talk to, and I also help talent, not wrestling talent, but other talents. When I talk to somebody I'm about to interview, I always ask them what they don't or do want to talk about. Because one, you want to foster a relationship so the interview goes well. Also, what I get for people who are experienced talents, they're like, don't worry about it. You can ask me anything. If there's something I don't want to answer, you'll know. So she doesn't have to answer every question that is asked to you. If you go to court and they say they plead the 5th, if you could do that in court and there's a possibility of you going to jail, then somebody who's asking you an interview on a radio station, by the way, shout out to Laura LaRosa. She's the guest co-host on the Breakfast Club. We work together at TMZ. She's doing amazing things. So go and like and support her stuff. She has a great clothing line as well. If you are asked the question, you don't have to answer it. If you take it down to beyond you being a talent or an interviewer, if you take it down to regular life, hey, Will, have you been to a Diddy party?
No.
He didn't have to answer, but he decided to. See? Choice.
Mm-mm. And I wanted to make sure that choice was known. No. I want somebody making a choice in their head. They was like, I can see it. No,
in that case, you needed to answer that, because if you don't,
yeah.
So let me piggyback. Number one, as TK mentioned, the interview was on the Breakfast Club, and so I think we also have to understand that there have been instances where the Breakfast Club has been given topics to stay away from, and they ask anyway. I think you have to, part of media training, and this is kind of where you separate the proverbial wheat from the tares here. Part of media training says that what I'm about to say can be chopped up and used by outlets all over the world. Mm-hmm. So instead of having people wonder the context with which I'm talking, some things I just simply don't say. Case in point, there's a reason why I didn't initially answer your question. Because in my head, I'm saying, if I answer this a certain way, there are other entities who may or may not be paying attention, and I don't want to cost myself or cause myself any additional grief because I'm trying to answer a question in the moment. So what I'm saying is, the reason you don't necessarily answer every question that's asked to you in a media space is you have to think beyond the moment. You have to think, how can this moment be used and taken out of context? Because an outlet like the Breakfast Club, and this is no shade to them, they're just interested in creating the clickbait for attention, and then they're moving on to the next topic, while you as a talent have to deal with that for the next 2 weeks. And so I think that's why you don't have to answer those questions, because when you do, we have discussions like what we're having right now, you know? So I think that's the scenario in terms of why you don't have to answer every question that's presented.
And furthermore, She doesn't need to answer the questions. You want to know why? Because she's already getting paid. So at the end of the day, she's already getting her paid. She's getting creative control. She is at the top of the heap. Essentially, you could take the Beyonce and Drake approach and not answer or take interviews at all. Now she has to take the thing because it's going to be in the city, but you can narrow it down. Plus, it's the Breakfast Club, and it's not even a shade thing. I guarantee there are people who watch it who have no idea who she is because they don't watch wrestling. But the way her aesthetic, the way she looks at all this stuff, they could have talked about so many different other things, which they did, and she could have, she could have avoided certain questions. That's a choice. So yeah,
and it's a very thin line between the kayfabe, because even like to the mayor's point, yes, that could have been intentional, but still, you're on a wider audience, and not everybody knows that that's a character. So they could assume that that's you. But even too, if it is the character, and you're saying just all the stuff that you want to say, let's not forget this is a very top sport, and there are people who will do anything to take your spot. And so it's just also too, like, keeping that in the mind, like every cause has an effect. So it's just like, again, to everybody's point, know that line between where the character stops and then where you as the person goes, and then how that you should really feed that. And by answering everything may not be the best approach unless she knows exactly what she's doing and they are giving her all of this to say like they do like a Kardashian or something, then by all means go for it. But that's not the sense that I'm getting.
Yeah, because there's too much being said too regularly, not to mention she has her own weekly blog that she's putting out where she's giving more information out on that as well. So I think it's really interesting. I want to jump to a couple of other things because there's a specific discussion I want to make sure that we have a little bit of time to have. Yes.
Does anybody want to hear what I think?
Yes.
I thought we got to you. I'm so sorry. I think we got distracted.
No, and I just mean this.
I want to address that so bad, but honey, go ahead.
No, you're
please,
good.
Please.
Just to put it lightly, this is all I have to say, quite honestly. I just wanted to make sure I made room to do this.
You're lying.
You a damn lie, Mercedes. You a damn lie. That's all I gotta say.
You dressed up as her. I'm very, very much confused, but we're short on time, so we must continue on.
I'm Sasha.
To the Voltic Ace,
reading Sasha,
who
Mercedes.
asks, the Voltic Ace says it's messed up how most wrestlers have to stay in character 24/7. You mean the same way that Snoop Dogg does, and the way Pink does, and the way Ice Cube does, and the way 50 does, and the way, I mean, just rattle off the names. Right? This is the entertainment business. And, the reality of it, you're not necessarily in character 24/7. You're home, you've got your friends, you've got your spaces, but rest assured, when Calvin Brodus leaves his house, he's Snoop Dogg, and you don't think twice about it. So I think what becomes problematic is when wrestlers decide, oh, well, today I'm Mercedes Vernado, but yesterday I was Mercedes Moné. Now you create real confusion because I don't know who I'm seeing right now. I don't know what to believe right now. And
either
then
way, she's
I don't.
lying.
So there's that, but that's another discussion for another day. I want to mention two quick things, and then there's a whole topic that I want to get to. Congratulations to Anthony Bowens, who has got kind of a really cool thing getting ready to happen. He's going to be involved in this home run derby that is can y'all hear me? I feel like I'm stuck.
Yeah,
I am stuck. I'm okay, cool. He's involved in a home run derby that's going to involve former Major League Baseball player Jose Canseco. It's called the Going Yard Home Run Derby. It's happening in Sugar Land, Texas on October the 5th. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's happening at Constellation Field. So congratulations. Again, kind of another really good look for AEW in terms of getting these mainstream opportunities, which is really, really good. for their brand. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go here. Well, no. There's one place I need to go before I go there. Let's go here to Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, who's going to be a presenter at the upcoming 2024 People's Choice Country Music Awards. That ought to be very, very interesting. It's happening at the Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee on September 26th, which is tomorrow. And Shania Twain will be hosting that. So another great opportunity.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
She's Canadian.
Yeah. So that should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that. Now let's get to this, because today officially the long-awaited, highly touted documentary called Mr. McMahon debuted on Netflix. It is a docu-series that is 6 episodes strong. And I guess we knew it was going to be a thing. Well, let's go back in time. Earlier in the year, it sounded like the Netflix documentary was being canceled after all of the things that had happened with Vince McMahon, him, being kind of, that's probably the wrong term to use. So let's say he left the WWE and all things TKO. They really did their good job in terms of distancing themselves from him. We walked into the Paul Levesque era. Not only did we do that, but there were clear things that were done that indicated that Vince McMahon was gone. The institution of the term pro wrestling again, WWE working with other companies like TNA, like indie promotions, like Pro Wrestling Noah, all of these things. So it looked like the Netflix documentary was off. Then we found out it's on again, and it premiered today. We found out on Monday that Vince McMahon, who had been eerily quiet on Twitter, he was never really big on there, he awoke from sleep and he basically said, hey, listen, this documentary isn't what I thought it was going to be. It feels like it's misleading, et cetera, et cetera. There's even talk that he tried to buy the documentary from Netflix and they weren't having it. And so I know that some of us have seen at least 2 episodes. So I'm not going to hit you guys with all 6. But I do want to get your thoughts on what you may have learned. Yes?
I have a question for folks. Do you want WWT to do a live watch along of this documentary? Just put it in the. And if you guys want this, then we'll make that.
Say it and it will appear.
Well, then there's that. So I know some of you have already started watching, which is cool. So again, the question, and for those of you who will listen, hit us up on our socials, WWTalkpod, and let us know if you'd like for us to do a watch along for this Netflix documentary, Mr. McMahon, because what can certainly happen there is you can get some details in terms of how we're feeling, and all of the things. Okay, so let's do this. We'll only deal with the first 2 episodes, and all I want to know is one thing that you learned from what you've seen. Just one. Okay. Courtney, I'll start with you. I'm very interested in your perspective because I remember you kind of took a break from wrestling for a while. I don't remember, again, your exact entry point. But tell me one thing you've learned from what you've seen so far.
It's an eye-opener because there were some things I wasn't even aware of, because this is like the 80s, late 80s, because I started watching wrestling in 2002 after the Attitude Era. So some of this other stuff that was happening in like after WrestleMania, before the steroid trial, some of it was very eye-opening to me because I did not know that some of this was happening at that time. And also, not to get much into detail, I learned another fact that Vince doesn't like confrontations. That is something that I learned. Even when you look at some archive interviews of it, And I'm not going to give nothing away, but I actually did notice that. And I was like, oh,
That he
that's
doesn't
something.
like confrontation?
Yeah, that was something that I
No,
noticed.
the man said he loves confrontation.
Really? Because
he said that. That's what is exactly what he said.
Well, I mean, with that,
now he may not respond well to being challenged.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But that's what it
he
is.
may not respond, but he said he said out of his own mouth he likes confrontation.
Oh yeah, because clearly he fires people in their face in person when he can have somebody else do that. If you don't like confrontation, you could just he was in the position to have somebody else do that. But for some reason he likes, and I full disclosure, I haven't watched any of the things yet, so that's why I'm asking you guys if you guys want to do a watch along, because I have a feeling, and that's
why I don't want to give away. I don't want to give away too much for TK, but
that's fine. I don't care.
I mean, I got up through the first episode today, and I want to like, I want to like be able to. I want to like be able to absorb it. So a watch along, I think, would be awesome. But something that I learned, I did not. I mean, and of course, obviously, as they said in the beginning, you know, Triple H said it really well. He was like, Vince is going to show you what he wants to show you. And one of the things I'm realizing very early on was that his relationship with his dad was not great, which would lead to a lot of the things that which would lead you to believe a lot of the things going on now, or things that he has done. It was like, oh, okay, I could piece things together. I did know that he grew up in a trailer park, but I did not know that he wasn't with his father. That was something different that I didn't know, and that he just pretty much went over to him and went with him, and when he was like 15, 12, 13, 14, 15 or something like that, and then got into wrestling business. I didn't realize it was from that. I thought it was from a lot earlier in his life, but like, again, Vince is going to show you what he wants to show you.
Councilman, you got one thing for me.
I only watched the first 10 minutes of this, and then the Lord told me I wasn't equipped to watch this today.
Lord,
I'm gonna go with the watch along with TK. But from what I've learned in those 10 minutes, I need a Netflix series of Vince McMahon's life. Like a whole, like, cast someone to play Vince and I want a whole Netflix series for him.
I can see that would be
epic.
Biopic. This would be
that'd be fire.
That's what I learned.
So I will start by saying a good portion of the information that I've seen in these episodes, I have seen in some other places. So if anything, it verified that the information they were telling us was true. But the one thing, and I'm probably looking for Cousin Ron to show up in here at some point, because I thought of him and a few other people with this. And this will serve as a bit of a spoiler, but it's a great conversation piece. When Vince was taking the company from his dad and looking to take it in another direction, he was looking for somebody, you know, the champion current at that time was Bob Backlund, who was kind of, in his words, you know, just white milk is what he called him, which I just thought was hilarious. I could not believe that he called him that. Those are his words, not mine.
My God.
It was just hilarious. So Vince McMahon says, I wanted somebody charismatic who could kind of lead this whole thing into the next era. Councilman is weak. It's funny. And so most people would naturally assume that Hulk Hogan was the first choice, but he was not. And this is the part that's wearing me out. The fact that the WWE's first choice to who to build this thing around was not Hulk Hogan, but was Dusty Rhodes.
Listen.
Wow.
Do you understand how that changes everything?
That's the T right there.
That right there, I'm trying to tell you. And Dusty refused it because he did not believe that it was possible for Vince to go national.
Yes.
Y'all,
Yeah.
listen, That's the one right there. I mean, that piece deserves an entire conversation, and maybe I'll come for the watch along because I want to dive in to what that means. Think about how the whole wrestling business changes if Dusty Rhodes, because you could make the argument, that Dusty Rhodes would have really taken this further than Hogan did, because Dusty had a connection with people that was different than Hogan's.
Yes.
Here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Because after watching, I think it was Dusty's bio, and a lot of the wrestlers, like the wrestlers who grew up watching Dusty, said that, you know, they were attracted to him. And I'll go back a little bit. A lot of the ethnic wrestlers who grew up watching Dusty said they were attracted to him because I don't want to say he came off as black, because that's not what he was doing, but he just had something that you could relate to as a minority.
The term back then was he had soul.
Blue-eyed soul.
He had soul. And now, with that being the case, say if he did become champion, would the face of the fans and the WWE universe be different? Like, it's changing now where it's becoming more diverse, as you see women's wrestling talk, as you see a lot. I mean, everybody can have a podcast talking about wrestling, which is great. But do you think the face, before social media came along and podcasting, all that stuff, do you think the face of the people who watch the brand would be different?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Because you had here was the so this was the problem. Well, to me, and again, this is one of those conversations that, you know, can hijack a podcast in a heartbeat, or can be an entire podcast in and of itself. Hulk Hogan was not somebody that everybody could relate to. Hulk Hogan, in essence, was a superhero.
Yes.
Dusty Rhodes always referred to himself as the common man. And wherever Dusty Rhodes went, he was the most charismatic person there. Look at the NWA. He was the foil for Ric Flair. That was the greatest feud that they had, Flair and Dusty Rhodes. And it was because Dusty Rhodes was the common man that everybody could relate to, as opposed to the millionaire Ric Flair. So I think what that would have done was it would have ushered in a more diverse audience for pro wrestling, and still would have allowed Vince McMahon to take this thing mainstream. This whole thing would have been different. The whole thing.
Cody Rhodes finishing the story wouldn't even be a thing.
It would not be a thing. Because Cody Rhodes would have been born into the WWE legacy.
Cody would be Roman. Cody would be a tribal chief. No,
you know what it would do? It would actually intensify that war, because the Samoans were already there.
Yes.
So it would have intensified that legacy battle, because the question would have been, who really has the claim to it? Because they were both here.
Just think about that.
The whole world would have been different if it was Dusty Mania. You know, if they built this whole, because I mean, think about it. They still could have done the nationalism piece, and he was the American dream. So that was easy. You know, it would have fit perfectly in that time frame. Everybody would have gotten behind it. Think about what that would have done with that rock and wrestling connection. He automatically connects with the MTV generation. He would connect with the rock and pop generation, and the R&B and the budding hip hop
and country
thing. This whole thing would have been different. Good Lord. That's my one takeaway that I'll just mention. So by all means, go and I want to have a whole discussion.
We should. We can review this whole thing.
We should. There's a lot.
Once we watch it all, and then we can review it.
Why because it changes wrestling as we know it. It changes wrestling as we know it. Good Lord.
Honey, why did you in the chat?
But I'm
funny.
just, I'm just
Councilman stuck.
being
He's
engaging.
stuck.
I'm sorry, that Bob Backlund thing took me out. I'm sorry. That took me out. I'm tired now. That took me out. I'm so sleepy now. I laughed too hard at that.
Now the other interesting thing, which I'm not gonna break my own rules. There's another very interesting comment that on another show I will get into. And it's probably safer to say off air, so I'll probably do that.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
I
So
can't wait to hear this now.
So there's that. There's that. All right. So tonight is a big night, and we're gonna wrap up soon so that Courtney can get a little bit of rest because she's gonna come back and do double duty with the AEW watch along for AEW Dynamite's Grand Slam. It is becoming that is tonight.
Yeah,
That is tonight.
That's why.
I
That's
thought
why.
that was a pay-per-view. I thought that was a pay-per-view.
Wait.
You must be sleeping under a rock or something.
AEW was under the rock, and I just didn't look under to see that Grand Slam was starting.
No, next pay-per-view is Wrestle Dream October 12th. Next pay-per-view.
I mean, this is hey,
Cody would be Orton. That's actually very
that's crazy.
Dang, and then he'd be the forefront for Legacy, and Randy is the side one.
My God,
Cody could have been an Evolution.
Yes, Cody could have been an Evolution. Oh my God.
The other thing,
the
other thing too. What would have happened to Dustin? Would we have got Gold Dust? Or we would have got something else.
We wouldn't have needed Gold Dust.
We wouldn't have needed Gold Dust, which is crazy. Dustin would have been fine, like as Dustin. Like we wouldn't have needed something like Gold. Can you imagine? That's so, like an alternate universe, like Thanos snap. Like that's what would be happening right now.
Yo, my God! Imagine WrestleMania where Mr. T was there, but you got Stallone with Dusty. Two of the common men together going for WrestleMania.
Bro,
can you imagine? Because the opportunities also that would have been open to Dusty that he would have crushed. Dusty on Saturday Night Live.
Dusty would be the longest. Dusty would be the second longest reigning champion behind Bruno Sammartino.
And then Dusty would be the Flair Impact instead of Flair. It'd be Migos talking about Dusty instead of Flair.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Because he'd outshine Flair.
Yeah,
to have WWE behind you, he'd outshine that. That would have been real different.
And then there would be no NWO.
Well, wait. Let's think deeper though, because the NWA would have been completely different because Dusty was the booker there, which is one of the reasons why he wasn't the world champion for a long time. So what if the booking mind of Dusty Rhodes is already in WWE? You technically don't need a Pat Patterson at that point.
All right, we gotta get to AEW. We gotta get
my head hurt.
We gotta get Courtney. I'm so sorry, Courtney.
This is making my head hurt.
There's just a lot to sink in this documentary. A lot.
I don't want to leave Grand Slam like that because I did see the cards and I was like, okay, Grand Slam, it's gonna be dope.
Grand Slam. Listen, I clearly need a separate episode of this. I already know there's a whole video I'm gonna do on this. This has blown my mind. All right. So Grand Slam tonight, Dynamite live from Arthur Ashe in New York City, which, when they first did this a couple of years ago, super innovative, taking a space known for tennis, transforming it into wrestling. They had an amazing look out there. The question now will be, obviously, how does the crowd look? How will they present this year? They've got some pretty solid matches coming. Mariah May, Yuka Sakazaki for the AEW Women's World Championship. At some point tonight, I don't know if this is going to happen on the live show or if it'll be taped for Collision. Saraya and Jamie Hayter in a Saraya's Rules match. Prince Nana will give an update on Swerve tonight. That'll be interesting. For the FTW Championship, Hook takes on Roderick Strong. Also, there's a lumberjack strap match tonight. Adam Page and Jeff Jarrett. The Young Bucks are taking on Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher for the World Tag Team Championship. This is gonna cook.
This one,
John
this
Moxley,
is the one. This is the one.
And Darby Allin. Good Lord, this is
scared.
Moxley's first match since coming back, and this whole new presentation. This is gonna be a real problem tonight. And then if Bryan Danielson gets cleared to wrestle, and we've not heard anything from him since All Out Chicago, if he gets cleared, he takes on Nigel McGuinness tonight. I can't think that there's any way that Nigel did all this promo for this match and Danielson doesn't get cleared.
That part, Professor.
It's got to happen. So
no way.
Grand Slam tonight is going to be special. Hopefully you guys are able to check it out. It will be, I will just say it, likely a long night for those who are there live, because they will also be taping Grand Slam Collision tonight. So that will be taped tonight to air Saturday. And poor Rampage doesn't get the Grand Slam treatment, which tells you their thoughts on Rampage. I'm completely editorializing, so forgive me on that. With that said, here's how you can find us on all these great social spaces. Councilman.
You can find me at Mega Soul right now on all platforms, just because we was just talking about what if Dusty and Macho Man became Soul Power.
Oh, no. Macho Man. That's right, Macho Man.
Dusty and Macho Soul Power or Mega Soul.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy. But yeah, find me there. Find me on the Tuesday Night Pharaoh NXT Watch Along. I threw this out there, and since y'all here, same thing TK's doing. If y'all got the time, I think all of us, including the mayor, we all need to be there for Tuesday night for the premiere on the CW. Like I said, if y'all got the time to jump on and do the watch along, I think we all should jump on and watch the premiere. And Roxanne Perez remain the NXT Women's Champion. If y'all
like an idea,
yes,
sounds like an idea.
There might be stuff happening, some game plans happening. So you guys probably, for my folks who watch us, shout out to Will for doing solo dolo. And let me for a minute. Cedric decided to go to the Anderson .Paak concert by himself. I spoke to Cedric later on that night. He said, yeah, I asked everybody to go and nobody wanted to go with me. Did you receive a call, Will? I didn't receive a call. So
I didn't receive a call.
I guess we're not part of the everybody. So
no.
Yeah.
All he texted me was an emoji of like yams and then a noodle with a block of cheese, and I just assumed that was the yams and the mac and cheese touching. So I just assumed that was for Tuesday night NXT. If that was for Anderson .Paak, I missed that. I missed that. I didn't catch that one. I didn't catch that one. So I'm not sure if that's what that was.
I'm just saying.
Over the airway.
He had the audacity to say he asked everybody as he's talking to me on the phone.
Is that a Jacob sighting?
Oh yeah, Jacob's another one.
And I don't want to throw this out there, but rumor also has it a helicopter came pick Cedric up, and then he went to the Usher concert that was across from LA at the Inuit Center as well. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I don't know how you have a story where you had both concerts that happened at the same time, but that's what I heard.
Yeah. And did you get a call for that?
No, again, I'm still trying to figure out the emojis. Like I assumed I knew what it was. Now I'm confused.
I didn't get anything, so
I didn't get anything either, but whatever.
This is
it's like there's you just gotta ask yourself sometimes, like why play games? Why can't you just be straight up?
Why would that man play games with me? Why would you play games with me?
I'm kidding. I don't know what y'all talking about, but it's all right. I'm just adding to the conversation.
Well, honey, how can the people find you?
You guys can find me on my couch watching the rest of this Netflix documentary with the crew one day when we get it together and figure out what day that's going to be when we have our watch along. You can also find me here Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. You can also find me on Fridays doing our Honey SmackDown watch along. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a big one. I mean, this week has already been on fire, so Lord knows that SmackDown needs to come correct this week. And also on my socials, all things Wrestling with Honey TikTok, Wrestling with Honey Instagram, Facebook Wrestling W Honey, and tell your friends about the new Wrestling with Honey podcast on YouTube.
Love to see it. Courtney, I know you'll be with us at the top of the hour, but if people are looking to follow you and find out all that you're doing, how can they do that?
Yes. So outside of tonight's anticipation of Grand Slam, you can actually find me on Twitter and Instagram on @CourtneyNJ11. I do have some stuff happening right now. And also I have some exciting stuff. I am working with a local independent wrestling company near me. So a lot of stuff is happening, but feel free to check me out later tonight. Grand Slam tonight in New York. It's going to be fun. And hopefully we'll see you there.
WT resident AEW expert Courtney NJ11.
I love that.
Very good. Of course, you got
Ced's about to pound the streets.
This is
with the
Poor
Nationals.
Ced.
With the
Poor
Nationals.
Ced. Wow.
Poor Ced.
Another one he's got to go back in and delete. He's been on a deleting spree, boss lady, just so you know.
And thank you, Dylan.
Oh,
we appreciate you,
thank God
buddy.
I have all the originals. Shout out to our producer Dylan for keeping us alive with all these drops.
Absolutely.
Really quick, you can always find Ced, even though he's not here, you can always find Ced where the cake is at.
We like cake over here.
Wow.
We're going to see him Tuesday because there's going to be a lot of cake in the building, all right. But I guess we're going to see Cedric there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, so before we finish up, because I think it's just me and you left, Professor, I'm thinking of doing the watch along. I want to do it sooner than later because everybody's going to, I feel like you can't wait too long. So we might start tonight after Courtney is done. So for my late hours, probably on my West Coasters. And we might also start Friday after Honey's done, whatever we get through. Because if we start late, we're probably doing 1 or 2 episodes. And then on Saturday might be the big one. Saturday, we might just close it out, finish the last couple episodes. So be on the lookout on our social media for all that. But I feel like as a family, as a WWT family, we need to come together and watch this. But I'm kind of hesitant because I don't have a filter when I'm watching shows. So this might be scary.
A bad idea.
It might be a bad idea.
We might only have to do this on Twitch.
Well, since mommy's home, we'll let her close things out. But you can find me. Oh wow, the CW.
We need it as a shirt on the WWT.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
CW cake waiting.
That's
freaking
hilarious.
That's great. That's great. You guys could find me at bonnerfide on all of the socials. I've got some quite a bit of content up right now, so you guys can check it out as we are previewing, getting you ready for the next show from Ashe Wrestling, which is this Sunday. So I'm excited to be with them. So go and check all of that out. Let's see. We've got commentary happening in a lot of spaces. Southern Honor and IWE on IWTV. You can also find my work with Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling and the Nightmare Factory on their respective YouTube channels. And, of course, All Caribbean Wrestling on their YouTube channel as well. We'll be with them in the Bahamas. And we've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. Actually, about a very busy 6 weeks or so coming up. And I'm pretty excited about that. So, yeah, check out all of those things. Of course, you can check me here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I hand things over to the woman whose name is on the door of the house here. Mommy's home.
Well, I mean, is it? Because you said I wasn't invited to the cookout in Atlanta for Bad Blood. So
well, we're not in Atlanta right now. We're in this universe. But you aren't coming here. You're going to be in some other country somewhere.
No, WWE. I mean, y'all been taking ideas for years. And I said nothing, and that's fine.
But aren't you going to Chicago on Tuesday?
Am I going to Chicago? Is that what I told you?
Oh, parental problems.
I can't remember.
I thought you were.
I might. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm going to San Francisco. I have to check the calendar. I do have a couple.
Look at that. You see that? I have to check the
You
calendar.
don't even know where she's gonna be.
I don't. Shout out to all the companies who are using me for my talents. Did anyone skip? No, nobody got an invite for Belize, Cedric, because it's for work. I don't just happily go to concerts just because I didn't get the invite for it. So, anywho, thank you guys for checking in. Definitely stay tuned. We're gonna have our watch along tonight. Our watch along on Friday. We're gonna definitely circle back with this Netflix watch along. You can follow me everywhere. Oh, there goes my dog. You can follow me everywhere at tktrinidad. Make sure you check in to Women's Wrestling Talk, especially the website. We have a lot of articles dropping, and in a few short weeks, give or take a month or so, the new website's gonna be dropping, and we have some plans coming with that. So definitely stay in tune with all of that. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching Women's Wrestling Talk. You have the outro set up, Professor?
I do.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for
Thanks
now.
for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network